Hello and welcome to the Manufacturers Hub podcast. For the regular listeners, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for tuning in to the podcast where we shine a spotlight on the people and the businesses driving UK manufacturing forward. Hello and welcome to the Manufacturers Hub podcast, the podcast where we're talking to businesses within UK manufacturing. In this case, we're talking to a digital marketing online growth for manufacturer agency. They specialize in websites, SEO. So this is Tim and Sarah from Alpha Quad. Hello, Tim and Sarah.
Hi, thanks for having us.
I'm also joined today with Kev on the virtual one today. So it's nice to finally obviously have you guys on. We spoke about obviously in the past about say being on your podcast, and I say you've been a member of the Hub for quite a while now as well. So I just wanted to let you guys introduce yourselves of what you actually do for businesses, especially say within UK manufacturing.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us on. It's great to be here. So we are a digital marketing agency. So what that means is that we help businesses to drive traffic and then leads and sales through their websites. So we've worked with manufacturing companies for a long time now. So we've kind of naturally fallen into that area. Being based in the Midlands, there's a lot of manufacturing companies around here. So we kind of accidentally ended up working with manufacturing companies. And then obviously over the years, you get to know the industry quite well. And it is quite different to a lot of the other businesses that we work with, particularly around things like the sales journey. And often it can be quite a lot longer than what we're often used to with other types of companies. So we find it really helps to get to know the industry well.
Yeah. Do you find it different with say what you're doing with say manufacturing is more? I find it's business to business marketing rather than business to customer marketing. Is there much of a difference between how you do the websites and lay things out that way?
Yeah, definitely. So there needs to be a lot more consideration around the customer journeys, because what we also find with a business to customer website, there's often only one type of customer journey, whereas with a business to business, although it sounds like one journey, actually business to business is often quite a few different ones. There's a lot of different types of businesses, whether you're talking to a supplier or to an end user, that the journey you want them to go through. And often where we say a conversion, the thing we want them to do on the website is often different. So it requires a bit of difference in the way that it's all set up and what you're tracking and things. So yes, it definitely is different.
You also get the different way you need to talk to different people from any one company. So if you're trying to sell to somebody, you might be selling to a finance director. You might also be talking to a guy who's running the manufacturing process on the ground. So whether you're speaking in much more technical language in one part of the website or in much more bullet points with a different focus in mind than another part. So you're answering different questions for different parts of the business. So
do we find they're a bit harder to, especially if they've got e-commerce as well? Are they harder kind of to a lot more pages in the websites and stuff as well, or how's your e-commerce?
Yeah, so you do have to there definitely ends up being more pages because you're talking to different people, but we also sort of handle it in terms of you don't necessarily want everyone to find all the pages, because otherwise it ends up quite a big clunky website that's quite hard to navigate around. So with the customer journey, it's very important that you make sure sort of on your front page, you identify who the different customers might be, and then what they then click through to sort of sends them on the right journey that they need to go down.
Yeah. So did you find, say, it's a struggle for business to be seen online? I mean, this is what we found of why Manufacturers Hub exists in the first place, of the struggle to be for businesses to be found online. So can you talk more about kind of how SEO works and how businesses struggle with that?
Yeah, it's changed completely in the last year. So SEO is obviously, it stands for search engine optimization. So it's getting people found in search engines. So even sort of a couple of years ago, the search engines worked, and particularly Google, because obviously that's the one that most people use. You put your inquiry in and you'd get a few adverts at the top of the page, and then just lots and lots of organic listings that, you know, they're free to appear at. It's just, it takes the time and effort to make sure that you're found ahead of somebody else. But now obviously in the last year, it's changed so much. AI has changed the landscape. So now usually when you do a search, you get the people also ask section, you get the AI mode section at the top. And so actually the organic visibility is much smaller than it used to be, which makes it so much more competitive. So really these days, if you're targeting a keyword and you can't get into the top 3 positions for it, you're just not going to be found. Because we found that if there is an AI mode section, that often doesn't reflect what's ranking organically either. So what comes in there is different to what's ranking. And we found that there's kind of a 34% drop in visibility in the organic rankings if there's an AI mode present, and there often is. So it really makes it more important than ever to invest in SEO, but to invest in it properly, because we find a lot of the time people, they look for keywords that have got lots of traffic and think, right, that's what I'm going to go for. I want that keyword that's got 6,000 people searching for it every month. But actually, if it's too competitive for your business and you're not going to get into the top 3, you're far better focusing on something else that's maybe got 50 searches, but that you can get found for, and rather than fighting after something and never getting beyond, say, position 13, and you wouldn't be seen anyway.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we find people do wrong most often with SEO, is go after the wrong keywords.
Even if they've actually taken like which keywords they're chasing into consideration in the first place, because a lot of people will put up a website and then tick that box, and that'll be it for years and years and years. So it's just hoping people will find it rather than actually strategically going after the traffic. So yeah, I mean, we're still coming across companies now, even ones with quite a long track record of success in their field, who don't actually have a site, because there's been, obviously there's a lot of referral and reputation stuff from, even potentially before the web. But I think it's, everybody certainly needs to have a presence now.
I find it, some businesses, they still don't rely on, we've had businesses on the hub that still don't have a website themselves, that everything's relied on, say, LinkedIn. But it's finding that your website is your shop window, isn't it? You want everyone to be able to see your shop window, exactly what you can do as easy as possible.
It is, and it's become more important these days as well with the advance of AI, because these tools scrape websites to determine what to show. So if you've just used your website as a shop window, which used to be fine, you did a lot of your business face-to-face at networking and so on, and all you really needed your website to do was prove that you existed and show a few case studies of the kind of work that you'd done. But it's not really enough for a website to do that anymore. I was reading an article quite recently by a software company who was struggling because when an AI tool compared their software to competitors, it wasn't comparing it favorably, and there was sort of features, and it was saying that they didn't offer those features where competitors did, and they were arguing that they do offer those features. But the reason for that was because their website didn't have all the information in it. And obviously an AI tool can only be as good as the data it's scraping. So it becomes more important than it being just a shop window, and it now needs to be sort of much more in detail than that.
Yeah, because people are asking much more comprehensive and detailed questions of the search engines. I mean, search engines themselves, as well as the AIs, the search questions are much more conversational. So they'll ask things like, can you compare the top 5, whatever? And then it's up to the AI section of it to determine in the first place, what are the top 5 and what signals that you can give it to make sure that you're in the top 5, whatever. And then they have to say, okay, right, well, what can I find about the services of the top 5? And if you don't have your services listed in a fairly granular and structured way, then they'll either miss stuff or may even go as far as making it up, for example. So, I mean, we've had a situation in the past where somebody was saying, I looked at the AI overview and we've been getting a load of click-throughs because the AI said that we were doing consultations for free. And that wasn't the case at all.
Nobody does things for free.
It's it was just completely fabricated. So you've got to be very, very clear about what your offering is, and make sure it's put out there in a very structured way so that it's easily understood by the machines.
Is this where blogs work better in some cases as well?
What was that, sorry?
Is this where blogs work better in some cases? Where the questions you're saying, where people are typing questions into search engines?
Yeah, blogs especially are working very well for the AI overview sections, because they do rank kind of the longer form, more conversational content, which obviously comes out naturally from question and answer based content. So we kind of see it in a very simple form is that if you've got a website, your kind of core service pages are where you want to be ranked for in the search engines organically, because when somebody wants to buy from you or inquire with you or whatever, they need to come onto your website. But in the AI overview sections, that's where you can do more of the conversational pieces, where you're probably going to then be seeing less traffic to your website. I bet a lot of your listeners, if they are tracking website traffic, have noticed it dropping in the last year or so. And that's purely because people are now getting answers outside of needing to visit the website. But by the time they land on the website, if it's all set up properly, the conversion rate should be increasing, because by the time someone gets to the website, they're much more qualified and much more ready. But it makes it more challenging because they're doing their research and finding out about you without you actually knowing that they're finding out about you.
Yeah, zero-click content is what that's referred to. The other thing, there is a certain inbuilt bias, I believe, especially across ChatGPT. The bias is towards fresher content. It doesn't, which is ideal for articles, blog articles, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be producing a whole new stack every 5 minutes. Refreshing content also will, give recency signals as well. So reviving your old stuff, it's well worth doing that as well. So yeah, like I said, there is an inbuilt bias towards recent content.
So what do you think with the AI side of things? If everybody starts using AI and AI gets to a point where it can do your SEO for you, technically speaking, no one's better off. Because if everybody starts using it, then in theory, everybody goes onto the first page, and there's only an X amount of area on that front page which everybody can get onto. I know through Manufacturers Hub, doing the blogs on there, that the competition's still there. Even if you use the SEO, you're still up against the other people that are using the SEO as well. So it's a never-ending battle.
It is, and that's where something called EEAT has become more important. So it stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And it used to be something that was kind of considered with, say, finance websites, where if Google ranked the wrong website and it gave the wrong information, you could cause real problems in someone's life, or the same with sort of medical information and so on. So Google had to take that into account for those kind of industries. But now it's the same across all industries, because like you said, with AI, I could write an article about how to rank your website. You could go to ChatGPT and prompt it and write an article, and both of our articles would probably be pretty even in terms of the quality of that article. So Google then starts to struggle to know which one to rank. So that's where you need to start demonstrating that EEAT. So, for example, with my article, I could link through to case studies of the SEO work that we've done for clients. We deliver free workshops in SEO from our offices, so I can link to those to show that we're delivering information around this subject. And then being able to link to those kind of things will then help Google to understand that we're probably more qualified to write that article, and therefore ours should rank higher. So it's no longer just about the quality of the content. It's all of everything else that goes around it is influencing where you rank much more.
Yeah, you're creating an ecosystem of content on your website by linking across pages, which is something that people quite often forget. So they'll stick a nice blog article in some way, but it won't link to their about page. It won't link to relevant products that they might be mentioning. They'll say the products are there, but there won't actually be a hyperlink through to that page. And by creating that ecosystem within your site, and also beyond to things like LinkedIn profiles, Wikipedia entries, and all that sort of stuff, trade associations or other affiliations that you might have, it all sort of creates an aura of credibility.
You also do pay-per-click advertising, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, we do. So we see that very much as a strategic thing. So SEO is where we kind of try and push all clients into, because it takes time to build. And really, once you've identified the keywords that you want to go after, it can be sort of 6 to 12 months before you do get into that sort of top 5, top 3 positions. But once you're there, as long as you keep kind of maintaining the website and refreshing the content, as we've just been talking about, it's actually quite hard to topple you off from that kind of top spot. One search you might be position 2, the next one you might be 4, the next one you might be 1. You'll adjust around, but you're not going to go from 2 to 20 in a search. So, but it does take time to build, which is why it's so important to pick those keywords that you can actually rank for. But then 6 to 12 months is obviously quite a long time. So if someone's launched a new product, they probably don't want to wait 12 months before someone finds out about it. So that's where we recommend PPC comes in. So you pick a smaller subset of keywords, often the higher intent keywords, because you really want it to generate sales in the short term and advertise against that. What we don't sort of think pay-per-click works for is if you've identified the 100 terms you want to rank for and you just blast all of them through paid, because unless you've got an awful lot of money, that's not usually the most cost-effective way of doing it.
Yeah,
I usually find to add on that with so me and Kev will find, and when we was trying to do some of the pay-per-click stuff for a previous business, is that you also have to be careful of. We're thinking some of the searches are coming up. It could be searches for people doing their like university degrees, or they're just trying to find information for their product projects, but yet you're paying per click for that.
Yeah, that's exactly what Sarah was saying about intent. So when you use some of the tools, and the analysis tools, you'll get, the keywords that you see will have different intents, like informational, transactional, commercial, and all those sort of things. And so, you as a business, you really want the main focus to be on the ones with transactional, commercial intent. Like you say, we've dealt with people in biotech and stuff like that, and a lot of their stuff will attract students researching for their degrees. They might end up being a customer 5 years down the line, but you
don't want to pay £8 for them today.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you can do around tracking and things as well. It's a slightly different industry, but we work with a group of care homes, and they have that sort of similar issue in that the people that go to the website to search needing care use the same sort of keywords as people that go and look for a care home where they might be able to work. And they've got the same thing. They don't want to spend sort of £3, £4, £5 a click on somebody looking for a job. So if you've got your tracking right, you can make sure that you're then feeding the data back into Google of the genuine inquiries. I mean, they're all genuine, but the ones you really want. And then it can start to train the algorithm better on the type of person that you're looking for. So that's the other thing that a lot of people will do with paid ads, is they think that all they need to do is choose their keywords, create their advert, put it up there and leave it. And then 6 months later think, oh, that's not worked. It's cost us a lot of money and it's not worked. And normally the reason it's not worked is because the tracking setup isn't right. You're not training Google properly on the types of inquiries that you want. You're not having a look at the keywords and sort of putting negatives against the ones that aren't working properly for you. And it's not a set up and leave it kind of thing, in our opinion. Paid advertising, it needs as much work as SEO, but the key benefit of it is that it drives results instantly, whereas SEO takes time.
Also, you have to take into consideration that if you're pointing your paid ads at a page on a website, and that page is slow, the content isn't that good, the navigation away from it isn't that good, that you'll pay a penalty for that in more costly adverts, placements, and all that sort of stuff as well. So it doesn't exist in isolation. So you have to work on your website. It's not an alternative to working on your website.
This is where it pays to say get someone like yourselves to look after it properly, rather than just say if you're a manufacturer and if you know exactly how it all works, then great. But if you're unsure and you just want to pay to be at the top of the page for this, you said you could spend a lot of money. This is where it works better to get someone like yourselves to actually look after it, who knows what they're doing properly. Save you a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. It can be quite a risk when you sort of are looking, because we find a lot of manufacturing companies as well aren't used to doing things like this and investing in marketing agencies. I mean, outside of the larger companies that often do work with an agency, but the smaller companies are actually the ones where we can make the biggest difference, because they're often where they are spending budget, and often, like, quite a lot, you come across people and they're spending sort of £1,000 or £2,000 a month on Google advertising, which is an awful lot of money. And if they actually reduce that budget and put some of it into letting someone like us manage it for them, they could probably get more out of it by still spending the same overall, but having someone look after it that can make the best from it.
Yeah, I mean, an agency can also be a useful part of a journey towards, even if you're expanding and you might think, our own marketing department would be a great idea. In somebody like us, we can step in, be your marketing department, at least from the sort of medium term. And as you employ people, we can support them. And, it works out quite nicely because we do work in conjunction with larger companies' marketing departments, giving them extra capacity for certain stuff, allowing them to experiment with approaches that they haven't necessarily taken before. So instead of hiring a PPC person, bring us in. We'll do a project with them for X amount of time to see if it works, and if it does work, maybe they'll hire their own guys, or maybe they'll continue using us. But it's a similar sort of thing to where people use like a fractional finance officer or something like that. You can look at us as a fractional marketing department.
Do you
Less risk
so
as well.
other than doing say the online, so the SEO, the pay-per-click advertising, so the websites, is there anything else that you think businesses should be doing to try and be seen online? Is it worth being part of other hubs and groups where they can get seen?
Yeah, absolutely. Things like the manufacturer hub is so important, because if you've picked a group of keywords that you want to be found for, the chances are a site like yours is going to rank above them. And so what we always say to people is you'll be able to get so far, and then an individual business is unlikely to be able to outrank, for example, the manufacturer's hub. So if you're number one, the best an individual business should be aiming for is number two, and then making sure that they've got a presence on whatever landing page is number one for the term that they want to appear on. And that would be the case across all industries as well, because most industries have kind of directories type of sites and that kind of thing. And if you can't beat what's ranking above you, you've got to make sure that you've got a presence there. And that's the best thing that they can then do, so that if someone lands on the page that you're number one for, they can be found, and then they're also in their own right in number two.
Yeah, I mean, they also respond to ever so slightly different types of search. So, I mean, in our industry, if somebody looked for digital marketing agency in Warwickshire, you'd probably find us. If it was digital marketing agencies, you might say, okay, we want to do a comparison. We want to find lots, so it might give you a directory instead. So like subtle things like that. It's making sure you'll definitely cover a lot of ground in those things. I mean, we've come across a few companies who are members of the hub, who you guys are their only real digital presence outside somebody like LinkedIn. And you type in, even in a sectoral search, not even necessarily for their name, you guys will come up nicely, and it gives them a credible digital presence, which is valuable.
Yeah,
especially for it's like value for money. I mean, you guys don't charge the earth, do you? So.
No, exactly. That's the thing. Is some people, I find that I know we're a bit limited on about posts per year we do, and obviously we're still doing regular, but we're posting a lot more, even on our LinkedIn page, more regular than their business side themselves as well. So we're getting them seen more on LinkedIn, and obviously, like you said, we're already getting kind of ranked and seen better on, say, search engines as well.
Yeah, it also gives credibility as well from being on a hub like yours, in that it's not just about visibility, but then once they are found, it inspires more trust, because there's something right there. It's a bit like, if you're a tradesperson being on Checkatrade, you automatically find them on there and think, well, they must be all right, or they wouldn't be on this website, or they'd have been kicked off if there was lots of complaints about them and that kind of thing. So it's important to be on there as well, even if you're already ranking well for your target terms. If someone's going to be looking, people will end up looking on a hub like yours specifically because they feel like they can trust the businesses that are on there. It all forms part of the same puzzle.
So obviously, not only say online advertising is worth doing as well. When we see you guys at exhibitions, so obviously there's other ways for their businesses to get seen. Is there any other kind of areas they can get seen themselves? I see you guys go to exhibitions. We see you at exhibitions. You go to other events. We
do. We like going to exhibitions. It's down to the same thing as people actually like to work with people. So we've found a couple of times where we've had kind of leads come through online, and we've met with somebody through a video call, and we've sent them a proposal, and it's all going well. But then we see that they're exhibiting somewhere nearby, and we pop down to say hi face to face. And that can often be the bit that pushes it over the line. And it might well have closed itself anyway in a bit of time. But I think being seen in person is just as important as being seen online.
You've been going for, say, 25 years.
Yes.
How did it work like SEO back then? The computers are like all green, weren't they? It was all just green screens and all on dial up. How did it all work back then?
Yeah, I mean, it's like sort of clunking along with a 14.4 modem. It's like, I mean, it's the guy who found John, our founder. He started, back in the olden days. Everything was very different. He was involved in advising people like Lycos, Alta Vista, and folks like that, who are long gone now. Yeah, but so he learned a lot from being there with people that when search engines were very, very different. I mean, when did Google start? About 1980, something like that. And it's a long time ago. I remember seeing advertised in the back of Computer Weekly. I thought, I'll have a go at that. And then I saw it. Fantastic. It was like none of the reams and reams of junk that you found all over Yahoo and stuff like that. It was just a search box, which was absolute genius. That's what I do. I want to search. But as Google has grown, they've invested so much money in making sure that the results that they give out are useful. And they continue to do that, which is, I think, where they still have a massive credibility advantage over somebody like ChatGPT, because you don't know. Well, stuff's dead clever and stuff like that, but how much attention do they pay to actually making sure everything's as relevant as it should be? I mean, some people describe some of these AIs as being they're very eager to please, which is why they will sometimes make stuff up. They say, crikey, this is probably what they want to hear, so they'll stick that in there. Like Google have, even like 2 years ago, they had a whole year of useful content updates just to weed out spam, weed out irrelevant content farms and stuff like that, because their success relies on being able to present useful information to their customers. It's like why you guys will come up in searches, because you're presenting a useful directory of valuable companies. It's useful content, and so every company, when they're writing their website, need to have their eye on that front and foremost. It's the useful content piece.
What's the biggest mistake companies usually make when they're doing their websites, whether they make them themselves or they go through other people? Just say, what's the biggest mistake they usually make?
Well, it's something you come across a lot with marketing. It's like, you are not your customers, so they won't speak in the right language, for example. So, I mean, we had mentioned earlier on about the difference between the language you need to speak to for somebody who's like specifying which machine to use, and one for a chief financial officer whose eyes are on the bottom line after purchasing the machine. So the company needs to talk to those people, not internally. Like, so yeah, that's an important one, as well as going a style over content as well. Something might look great, but it's not delivering information, because that's what websites are about. It's about publishing information for people to read. I mean, unless you're an entertainment site, which most manufacturers aren't that entertaining, as far as a good old Saturday night sit down with a curry is concerned. But it's
So
some people.
you also do kind of courses as well, don't you? With so about marketing strategies and marketing plans. So how do they work for businesses where you're helping them with their marketing plans?
Yeah, so that's a really great way to start working with somebody who isn't doing anything at the moment, or has been doing something but they don't think it's working. So with a strategy, what we'll do is sit down and have a look at everything that business is doing already, and what's working and what isn't, but also everything that's sort of working and not working in that industry, which is another reason why we think it's really good to work with an agency who specialize in your industry, because obviously what we know can apply to anybody at all. The techniques we use to rank a manufacturing company are exactly the same techniques as we use to rank somebody who bakes cakes or sells flowers. But it's about understanding that industry, and so knowing which bits are going to work and which bits aren't going to work, and which, LinkedIn is right for some people and Facebook's better for others. And we've already got a good idea when we sit down with somebody of, right, I think we should start here. And then it's literally mapping it out. We think we need to, we obviously are going to want to do SEO because that's the core service of what we do. But also we might say, right, for you, we need a LinkedIn campaign, not PPC, because PPC, your average cost per click in your sector is £14, and that's just going to be far too much, whereas LinkedIn's going to be better. And then we might sit down with another manufacturer and say, right, the average cost per click in your sector is £1.40. So let's go with paid advertising. You haven't got quite so much market on LinkedIn. And it's really the strategy of working out what's going to work so that we can make best use of the budget, because no one's got endless budget. And so you need to make sure that whatever you do is going to work as effectively as possible. And then the other thing we do is we're very data driven, and we don't set anything up and just leave it. So if something doesn't work, which sometimes it won't, you'll think, oh, right, this PPC campaign is going to work brilliantly, and you set it up and you've got all your tracking in place. And 2 months down the line, you're looking at it and thinking, this hasn't worked. It's not generated the leads we're expecting. We know it hasn't because we've put the right tracking in place. We do know what's working and what isn't. We can quickly sort of go back and put that budget into something else. Whereas somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing might set that up and leave it for quite a long time before they look at it again and think, that wasn't right. But then also it's about knowing what might work instead.
Yeah, we also do a lot of work up front as well with the data. We use various analytics tools and dashboards and things around the place to actually, we don't generally just put a finger in the air, go on gut feeling, although experience is really important, obviously. But, going in blind isn't something we'd do. So, the example of PPC not working for 2 months is a rarity. We do invest in quite a lot of money in good tooling to do our job.
Oh, so I was going to add on that. Is this worth having someone that knows what they're doing as well? So you specialize in manufacturing. It's a case of, I've seen some websites that have come up recently when I've been looking through, and they've got a picture of someone doing some angle grinding, but yet their description says surface grinding, which are completely two different things. Having someone that knows exactly what they're wording in the pictures on their website as well, it definitely helps.
Yeah, I mean, when we develop content, we always do it in collaboration with the customer, because they are, at the end of the day, they are the absolute expert in what they do. There's no getting away from that. I mean, we can spend time with them, stuff like that, and get to know them very well. But when we put content out, we do absolutely make sure that it is correct, it is credible. I mean, if you're talking to, a manufacturing company their audience is going to be reasonably expert in what they do. So if the technical language isn't correct, the credibility drops off immediately. So collaborating with people to make sure it sounds right and looks right is very important.
I think that online presence is certainly when you've got to prove that your credibility is there, and proves that you can be seen in the first place. I say even like yourselves, you're part of different. You're trying to actively get yourself seen online, as well as obviously being part of the hub and being driven obviously through there to be seen through there. So you're showing yourselves as part of a website kind of digital marketing agency. You have to be dotted around in these different places. Manufacturers are no different. Obviously, you've seen say a couple of leads come through the site as well, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've had 3 or 4 leads come through from Manufacturers Hub now, which is really good.
So that's good to have.
It's nice that it's actually kind of working. We've got this audience that are actually seeing what you're doing, and I say we see a lot of businesses come through, and we do make suggestions. So to look at different categories on the site, and there's experts in each field as well. So so I've driven quite a few people across to the web design section as well, to say about their websites as they've joined. If they do want to improve them, like these are the specialists, and I've sent them across to the sections to see who each person are.
Brilliant. Yeah. It's definitely working. We've definitely had inquiries come through from your website, which is brilliant.
And
so is there anything you want to ask, Gab?
I suppose with a quick fire round, which you've got.
Oh, nice.
One thing that every manufacturing website should have on it. If someone was, I don't know, sitting down designing their own website, and all of a sudden this video pops up on their screen, and they think, right, okay, what's the one thing I need on my website? What would you say it is?
Case studies, examples of the work that you've done for other people, and which is a funny one because that's not going to actually help with your visibility. So the other thing that you definitely need is a proper refined list of keywords, but where actually on your website is examples of what you can do for other people and what you have done for other people. And also a case study doesn't necessarily have to be specific to some work you've done. So if you can think of a project that would be your ideal kind of project, write it up as like a case study or an example of work, so that you can sort of show this is what we do, this is how much it would cost. And that's often the most valuable way of getting conversions in, is to show what you've done elsewhere.
Okay, so technically speaking, AI would prefer that as well, wouldn't it? For the question and answer almost about it.
Yeah, AI loves that sort of content.
I'm going to lob in with something a bit more mundane. A really easy way of contacting somebody via the website, whether that's preferably a form, I think.
Yes, definitely, preferably a form.
And not a massively long one. You don't want people to have to rack their brains. You know, so like, I am this person, this is my company, this is my problem, talk to me.
Yeah, and not a link to an email address, because you can't track who sent emails. Whereas once you've got your website properly connected to Google Analytics, you can track when someone fills in a form, where they came from, and that will help you understand if your marketing is working. So definitely a form, not a link to an email.
Yeah, I don't have a desktop email client on my machine. So if I click a mail to link, it starts trying to open like Apple Mail or something like that, which I don't have set up. So it means it's just a little bit more of an annoyance.
So it's a bit unlike the form on our site then, for when people have got to type in all these different boxes to add images and things as well. It's a bit long, that form, compared to the sign up form someone normally has, or the info form someone normally needs.
Yeah, I mean, you need to know a lot more information so that you can actually get people into the right section. Where there's a sort of a basic contact. I mean, yes, it's literally what your name is, how to get hold of you, what your problem is. I mean, if you can provide a drop down that stops people having to think, or free form, or because somebody approaching your company, you're not necessarily speaking the same language about the stuff. I'm trying to think of an example from our industry. When somebody says, I don't know, so they'll use a different word that I would for the same thing. So if you it's just removing ambiguity in the first contact.
Cool. I've got one for you, a question. The buttons which people have on their website, and a lot of people will just have a generic word stuck inside that button. Is it important to have a description on that button of where it's actually sending people, or what the actual purpose of that button is? Or can you just have a click me message on it?
It depends where the button's going. So if it's going just say to your contact page, then that's fine. You can just say click here. But if it's going say to a product page, it's far more valuable if the wording in that button is the keyword that you want to rank for that product page, because then it just adds that extra bit of ranking signal to Google that when anyone goes to this particular page, that's the keyword that I'm trying to rank for on that page.
And this is the very reason why I can say to people who are watching this video now, get a website designer to do it for you, because there is so many things where it can go wrong, and we'll stop.
Almost no one is trying to rank for the term click here.
Yeah. But it's also the difference between a button and a link, because a button's a specific sort of thing and it can just have a simple thing attached to it. But if you're in a call to action and all you've got the space for is in the button looking element of it, they say find out more, but then also could really do with being another link within that block, which is actually properly worded.
And that's the same as well if people are linking externally. So if there are people who have listings on your website, when they link from your website to their own website, they should be trying to make that link back to their own site's keyword rich if they can.
Excellent.
Anything else, Gab?
No, I think that's all I can think of.
Is there anything else you guys want to chat to us about, or the viewers about?
We've signed up to visit for a Smart Manufacturing Week. That was good last year. I mean, it's ideal actually, because we're about sort of 25 minutes in the NEC. You know, if there's anybody there who wants to talk to us, give us a ring. We'll just pop up and say hi.
Yeah.
Same for the CBS Arena. It used to be the Rico in Cole. Places like that. We're only a few minutes away, so.
So Martin will probably be there as well, and Martin Phillips, because he normally does medtech, doesn't he?
Yes, he's got his we're sharing a stand with Martin at Mac, so he's very, very good with manufacturing specific video, and he's also got another hat which is the biotech, medtech sort of stuff as well. Fantastic animator as well, turns out. There you go. Yeah, we'll definitely be seeing you there. Hopefully you're doing other in-person meetups as well in the Midlands, aren't you? So.
Yeah, so we've got three planned at the moment. Obviously, we're going to do one each quarter. We're a bit late on quarter 1 at the moment, but it should be happening. Quarter 2 and quarter 3 are going to be Midlands way, so they're going to be closer towards you guys. So yeah, quarter 4 is still to be confirmed. We've had a few offers, say northeast and down Bristol way as well. But yeah, quarter 4 we've still got to decide on. But obviously things may change as well. If we get this investment, then things may change, and there might be more regular events than that.
Cool. Well,
brilliant.
Good luck.
We'll look out for them.
Everyone else, so I hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast anyway. So thank you for being on, Tim and Sarah. So it's nice to be able to talk to you more about obviously what you do and how SEO works, how beneficial it is having a great website. It's more beyond just than having this website as well. So it's nice for hopefully people to be able to listen and realize there's so much more to it. And obviously there's somewhere obviously they can come back to you as well for manufacturing. So it's nice obviously to have you on and to listen about you, and so it's nice to have Kevin on a virtual one as well. But yeah, so thanks everyone for listening anyway. So thanks for being on the podcast, and yeah, we'll catch you again soon. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation and want to hear more from UK manufacturing, be sure to watch the podcast on the Hub or subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back soon with more stories. Until next time, keep innovating, keep investing, and keep UK manufacturing driving forward.